Und guten Tag, alles. Good morning. Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen, but we will do this in English. It will be much better. So if you do not understand, please write in the chat if I'm speaking too fast or whatever. I'm very happy to be here with you today. My name is Annika Mansson from Happy at Work. I'm in Geneva right now. And I would like to start with some stories. I'm just going to share my screen. Just going to share my screen. And it's going to come here. Good. So we want to talk about emotional safety in the workplace. And I would like to start to share some true stories with you, ladies and gentlemen. A young pilot in an airplane taking off notices that his senior captain might have made some crucial misjudgments. The pilot lets the moment go by. He doesn't dare to disturb his senior manager. And that was in 1977 in Tenerife. And the fact he didn't dare to speak up, the consequences was that 580 people were killed. Quite later, in a bank in Geneva, a woman is working 70 hours a week for months. Every morning, going to work, she throws up. She loses 10 kilos and gets serious sleep problems, ending up at the hospital. 2 years later, she's still on sick leave today. And she says she went to talk with the HR and she asked for help. She was told to talk with her direct management. And she didn't dare to do that because her manager was very busy, hardworking, high-performing. And his goal was to have a seat in the steering committee to get into the board. And he didn't want to hear or see anything about the problems within his team. Quite far from the bank, a nurse in a night shift in a very busy hospital notices that the dosage for a particular patient seems a bit high. For a short moment, she considers to call the doctor at home to check the order. But at the same time, she recalls his ridiculous comments about her abilities the last time she called him to ask a question. So she doesn't call this time. And the patient will pay a high price. These are 3 episodes, ladies and gentlemen, of workplace silence where voice was necessary. Are these situations exceptions? No, they're not. I see those kinds of situations every day in different formats and with different outcomes. But why does this happen in our modern workplaces? Well, I think we can agree on one thing, is that no one wakes up in the morning looking forward, going to work to look ignorant, intrusive, or negative. No. On average, we prefer going to work looking smart, helpful, competent, and positive. And how do we do that? How do we look smart, helpful, and competent, and so on? Well, no one wants to look ignorant, so we don't ask questions. It's easy to manage. No one wants to look incompetent, so we do not admit our weaknesses or our mistakes. We don't want to seem to be intrusive, so we're not going to offer our ideas or ask questions or suggest things. And we do not want to seem negative, so we will not criticize, we will not question the status quo. Right? But why does this matter? Why does this matter, ladies and gentlemen? Well, every time we withhold, we stop ourselves, we rob ourselves and our colleagues of moments of learning. We don't innovate. We do not create new solutions, solve problems in a creative way. And we do not contribute to create better workplaces, better organizations, or even worse, Worse, the consequences can be terrible, as we saw. The pilot doesn't speak up. The nurse doesn't call. The woman in the bank doesn't speak loud enough. The good news is that not every workplace looks like this. There are workplaces where people are willing and ready to take the interpersonal risk of learning and speaking up. And for me, these workplaces have what we call emotional safety, or we can also call it psychological safety. Then, what's the definition? What is this about? Well, we can call psychological or emotional safety, it's a kind of measure of the degree to which one feels comfortable sharing thoughts, ideas, criticism without fear of judgment or negative consequences. So we can say it's the belief that one will not be punished or humiliated of speaking up or giving ideas or sharing opinions or making mistakes and so on. I got into this topic many years ago. Originally, I'm from Sweden. I've been working 15 years in the Danone Group for the Evian brand. But in 2008, I created Happy at Work here in Switzerland. And since that year, we are building healthier and happier and more sustainable workplaces. That's our mission. But to be able to do that, one of the conditions is that we have this emotional, psychological safety within the workplace. We have been, since 2008, we have been training, coaching thousands of people around the world, been working with hundreds of teams with different nationalities, building up this healthier and happier workplaces with the coaching workshop, conferences, and so on. And what is interesting in our work is that we see the both sides. We see the people who have burned out, and we see the managers and the organizations when we go in there as consultants and trainers that have not been able to build this emotional, safe workplaces. So we can see both sides, and that's very, very interesting. And it's such an important topic. That's why I would like to share what I observe, what my team have observed during all those years. Let's have a look already what kind of different levels of psychological safety there is in the workplace. Because, and especially since this last one year, right? We have witnessed this global pandemic, and we have been through this period of uncertainty and adversity. And it has become more apparent than ever that a workplace must be a safe and welcoming environment. But psychological safety does not spring up overnight. And it's not just because employees are told by their managers that work is a safe space that they will feel it. There are different stages. And Timothy Clark, who is an expert on the subject, he has written a book that he called The 4 Stages of Psychological Safety. Let's have a look on those 4 stages. The first stage here, what we find, what he calls an inclusion safety. That means that it will satisfy our basic human needs to connect and belong. We will feel safe in ourselves, be accepted of who we are and of how we work, our unique attributes. So this is the number 1 stage, inclusion. The stage number 2, what does that look like? It's like a learner stage, okay? So here we will satisfy this need of growing, of learning. And in this stage, we will feel safe to engage the learning process. We can ask questions, we can give and receive feedback, and we dare to do mistakes because we are in this learning process, right? Number 3, here we call it the contributor's safety. Because we dare to contribute, we feel safe to use our skills and have a meaningful contribution, make proposals, suggestions. How can we make a better workplace here? So we are an active contributor. And then the stage 4, which is of course the highest stage, is the challenger safety stage. Because here we dare to speak up and challenge status quo. We dare to put limits and say, hey guys, this is not okay. How can we do this differently? And we take this opportunity to change, to improve all the time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask you this question. What level of psychological safety do you observe within your current team? Is it more the stage 1, 2, 3, or 4? And I do not see that, but perhaps Lara, you can come in and share with me the results, because I'm not seeing anything about the results in the chat for the moment. Do you hear me, Lara?
Yes, I hear you. And I would kindly ask the participants to switch to the Q&A part and vote for the different stages. As soon as we have the votes, I will tell you something about what the participants voted.
Or I can stop the sharing and restart it afterwards, as you want.
Yes, of course, you can do that.
I can do that. Good. Let's do that. It's even better. So I just need to go back here. Now I'm back again. So do we have the Q&A here?
Yes, we have the Q&A, and I think that participants are starting to vote.
Good. I will try to see that. Oh, yes, here. Okay. So let's have a look. What do we have? Please vote, everybody who are present here. We are 14 participants, I can see.
Yes, and we have 3 votes up until now. 2 for the stage 2 and 1 time stage 3.
Okay, please, what you 11 more participants, what do you observe in your team? What stage do you think you are in?
Just a quick info, the voting is anonymous, so if anybody doesn't feel safe to vote, nobody can see what you voted.
Thank you, Denise, for saying that. It's so obvious for me, but thank you for saying that. Yes, talking about emotional safety, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so please feel free just to click in. Okay, we will leave it like that. So we have some people in stage 2 and some people in stage 3. Nobody in challenger safety and inclusion safety. Good.
We leave the options in the Q&A. Maybe the participants are thinking about it during your lecture and vote later.
With pleasure, with pleasure. We can come back to that after.
All right.
It's very interesting to ask ourselves that question, and we will see why and how now. So we have seen those different stages. Let's go a little bit further within. What does psychological safety look like? What do we observe? What are the very concrete examples of psychological emotional safety? Well, first of all, we're going to have a workplace where people, they dare to ask questions. So it's not clear, what can I do differently? We can express concerns, and it's really not a problem of openly asking questions and share things. It's also about expressing concerns, asking for help. We have a problem, we have seen something. How can we deal with this in another way? It doesn't work. Asking for help. It's a workplace where we dare to say, this is not going to be okay. We do not have enough time. I need more resources, and so on. We also are willing to share new ideas and from different perspectives, tackling different issues. And then also we dare to make mistakes. Do you feel comfortable today speaking up about something you didn't do perfectly well and it didn't have the outcome that you expected? And another last thing here is setting limits. As we saw with the woman in the bank in my example, which is a true example that I've been working with this woman, she didn't dare to say, stop, I'm falling apart, I need help, I need more resources. And so that is also something very concrete. And so signs we can really observe in a psychological safe team. It's also humor. Jokes are risky because they can be personal and they require that people be vulnerable. But humor and inside jokes among a team can be a very good sign for psychological safety, if everybody feel included, of course. It's also a question of bonding. What do you observe in your teams? Do team members know things about each other? Do they share? Do they do activities? Do they, unrelated to work, do they bond? Do you see that? As we said, they freely ask questions. They give each other spontaneous feedback. That's another very important thing. And they want, you hear in a workplace, in a team where there is psychological safety, we hear they discuss in a very constructive way problems, because they're not afraid to having different points of view. And another thing you also can observe very clearly is the support. They care about each other and they support each other. So that is something very concrete that you can observe. Now, how can we build? This is a question I really often get, of course. How can we do that concretely as managers, as leaders, as HR professionals? How can we build this psychological safety? Well, first of all, let me say that it doesn't cost money, and it's not complicated things. It's very easy and basic things we can do. First of all, it's about question of framing the work as a learning journey and not an execution problem journey. And it's like recognize and make it very clear that uncertainty is ahead, and it's okay not to know. We don't know where we're going, but we need each other. Those two factors are very important, uncertainty and interdependence. We have never been here before. We do not know exactly what's going to happen. It's okay. We need, in this very turbulent times we're living in, we need everybody's brain every day at work. We need everybody's ideas. We need all the voices in this challenging time. And that creates a frame, a logic for speaking up. Second, we need to show our vulnerability. We are not perfect. We have weaknesses. And we can share that, saying, I don't know. Or we can say simple things like, I may miss some things. I need to hear from you. Tell me again, tell me more. And this goes for everybody in the workplace, subordinates, colleagues, peers. And this creates a more safe place to speak up. And we need to foster respect in everything we say and everything we do. As a manager or an HR person, we need to walk our talk. And if we define a frame of conduct and behavior with the team, together with the team, and we ban all toxic behavior, that's very important. And even from the executives and the most performing salesperson, for example, toxic behavior is not accepted. Number 4, we need to listen much more than we talk. If you're a manager or an HR person, you need to be able to hear the concerns of those working for you. Only they can address them. And if you meet with a person for 30 minutes, listen for 20 minutes. That's a good rule to have. Actively ask for questions and ask questions yourself. It will create this necessity for voice. You know, the wise man is not the one with the good answers. It's the one who knows how to ask the constructive and good questions. And then number 6 is developing this caring culture. We're talking about taking care of ourselves, taking care of the teams and the organization as a whole. We talk a lot about the future of leadership right now. And the successful future leader is the one who knows how to take care of himself, not to burning out, to keep the energy level. And it's also the one who knows how to take care of this team. And also the organization as a whole, to be sustainable, right? So these are 6 steps, 6 things, very easy to put in place and to start using in your workplace in an everyday frame. Now, when I talk about those things, some managers get a little bit nervous and they say, Annika, are you telling me that I'm not supposed to ask for an excellent work, that I need to accept all the errors and not holding accountable the people? Well, I'm saying that, but it's not that. It's not, sorry, it's not a trade-off. We can hold people accountable and we can create psychological safety. We can do both. When I'm talking about psychological safety, but it's not the same thing. It's not motivation. It's not about this. It's very important, the motivation, but it's something else. It's about to free people up and really engage them, not being afraid of each other in a team. So if you do not build motivation or accountability and neither psychological safety, you are here, okay, in the apathy zone. And that's not very funny, and neither for anybody, and not especially not for the organization, right? So let's move on. Now, if you're going to build psychological safety a lot, but there is no motivation, no accountability, you're going to be in the comfort zone. And that's not very sustainable for the company either. But what I'm worried most for is this. This is the anxiety zone. And I feel a little bit lonely to worry about this zone. And I would like more HR people, more managers to worry about this. Because if we're only focusing on motivation and accountability, on excellence, on great results, and if we do not take in account this interaction without fear, this speaking up, we will be in this anxiety zone. This is where the pilot was. This is where the nurse was and the woman in the bank. And this is a risky zone to be for people and also for the organization. It's not sustainable. So where do I want you to be, ladies and gentlemen? I would like you to be high, of course, up here in the learning zone. And it's clear that this zone is the same as what we call the high performance zone. We're used to that matrix, right? And it's the same as long as the uncertainty and the interdependence is there. If we have no uncertainty and if we have no interdependence, it's fine. We don't need so much psychological safety. It's nice to have, but it's not necessary. But if we have both uncertainty and a kind of interdependence to make things happen, it's crucial to have this psychological safety in the workplace. Sorry. Now, we have just experienced around 5, even 10 years of evolution of digital transformation. This in only 1 year. And it goes so fast, everything. And the world will not slow down. The complexity, the uncertainty will not decrease tomorrow. We will need to adapt the way we work, and we will need to lead in a new way to adapt to the rhythm and also to this uncertainty. And we need really that people coming to work with their full selves, working every day to deal with this challenging context we are in. So we will need employees to bring complete full selves, to innovate, to contribute, to create a healthier and happier and more sustainable workplace. And thank you for helping us in Happy at Work to create such workplaces. Now, it's 5 minutes past 11. I would love to discuss with you a little bit more about how your psychological safety in your team is. And I also would like to share a little questionnaire with you to be able to measure this, because we need to measure what we can't measure, we can't manage it. So I invite you to stay on board with me, to go to stay here and so we can continue sharing. And I would like to share a questionnaire with you. So very concretely, you can evaluate with your teams, with your coworkers, how you can measure this. So I will stop the sharing and for the moment and see